The habit that we have is to push further and further out into the world with all of our plans, all of our ambitions and hopes and dreams. But these things are all attached usually to an identity. And that identity will be hooked up with something called the slave self. Now, the slave self is not a problem in and of itself. As long as we know and understand what it is, it exists in this world. It originates from a different source to our own source connection. And now our biology has become wired in with it. So you have the purity of your own source connection, which has no trace of the slave self. And then you also have, as part of your setup, this other source, which is to do with the slave self. And then your purity becomes enmeshed with the language of the slave self. So actually, you are a hybrid. You are a hybrid of a purity signal and a slave self signal. And now, at this time in history, the slave self signal is weakening because you are embodying more and more pure love and you are moving in a different direction. And the slave self is actually falling out of the zone of your awareness. So whereas previously it was a little bit like you really needed to work on your issues and try and get things sort of into your awareness and out of your personal field so you were free to be yourself. Now you're a bit like an aeroplane that's going up into the clouds and you're just leaving the ground behind, where, if you like, is the territory of the slave self. So you're already on a current and a momentum which is leaving the slave self behind and is less able to pick up the signal of the slave self. This is really important to remember some days when you feel like, oh, this feels so horrible and so hard and heavy and sad, or things are not really going the way I want to. That's just because actually you are starting to break that cloud level and going up into the upper atmosphere where the torsion between that past signal of the slave self and you, as you're starting to come into your brightness, is actually pushing one world away. And you can feel the that goes on as you break into that upper atmosphere.